Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Belfast Boxing and Blues. Welcome. It's your one-stop shop for all things Belfast, all things boxing, and all things blues. Yes, guys, what is going on? There has been a costume change. I stood up to turn on the camera and then I sat down. And that's where I currently am, in the seat, sat down, ready to talk, ready to drink the steaming hot cup of Irish Punjana tea. Which is hopefully going to be delicious. And, have a little cigarette. Have a little cigarette. So yes, we are here to talk about the career of Carl Frampton, the Jackal, the Union Jackal, Carl Frampton. He's in there, he's out there, he's up there, he's down there. Well, he's all the way down with all the crack, is what I mean to say. So let's get a little look here at Carlito and see what he's got going on. So he started in the super bantamweight division, yeah. Uh, I have to look that up yet again. We're gonna find out how many pounds is in the bantamweight division, which just is what it is, isn't it? There's no harm in taking a wee breath, and finding these things out. Oh, I put the wrong thing in, because to get that clarity, and just to know what's going on. I don't want Olympic man. We want. There's 17 weight classes. Picture of Jack Johnson there. I think that's Jack Johnson. Come on, man. Why unexplained list of weight classes. Junior flyweight is 108. Flyweight is 112 pounds. Junior bantamweight is 115. Bantamweight is 118 pounds. Either Joffrey, who I have a big ass book on there that I've yet to finish, a Brazilian bantamweight who fought approximately 80 times and only lost twice, is typically considered the best fighter in history at 118 pounds. He suffered only 2 defeats in his career. He finished his career with 50 knockouts thanks to the remarkable power he showed throughout his career. In the meantime, his contemporaries regarded George Dixon as the greatest boxer of the 19th century. Interesting. Dixon was the first African American athlete ever to win a world championship in the sport. Isn't that interesting? George Dixon. Nice one. Top fighters right now, up and coming stars, Ryan Burnett, yes, and Lewis Neary. Nice one. He's still on the scene, isn't he? Are working hard to secure a piece of the title pie for themselves before the impending invasion of Rungvisai, Sor Sikapita Rungvisai, Inoue, and Estrada makes their jobs more difficult than they've ever been. Juan Carlos Piano and Rossi Warren, both of whom have previously held the title, remain formidable competitors in their respective divisions. Guys, this comes from a website called baysideboxing.com.au. This must be an Australian thing, yeah. So that's been quite informative there, much better than Wikipedia. I'll say that much. So yeah, check it out, baysideboxing.com.au. So we're gonna get into Carl Frampton. As I was just becoming my boxing fandom was starting. It worked out really well because Frampton was just coming in. He was coming along. And we take a little look at his fights. He had 31 fights, this is his record. 28 wins, 16 KOs, pretty respectable. 3 losses, he was knocked out once, that was in his last fight, wasn't it? 0 draws. 6 male, yep, we know that. Now what's going to happen, man, with all of the transgender stuff? There's whole new categories in up there. That's a conversation for another day, isn't it? 5'5", Carl. I seen him a couple of times, like I was standing next to him. Small guy, Well, like, he's a fucking bantamweight boxer. Like same as Brian Burnett. I met him out in Thompson's one night. He was very sound too. And but again, these guys are small and they're boxers too. It's not like they're that height and they're a bit chubby. They're fucking. There's not a pick on them, you know. So yeah, there we are. 65-inch reach. Yeah, not the longest reach, but luckily he did step in quite quick, and he had a nice timing with the jab. He had quite an educated jab from him with the lead hand. Sometimes he would bounce in, almost like a wee Pacquiao thing, not just the same, but you could see there was some kind of an influence there. He would bounce in, and just a nice, fluid lead left hook. Frampton's movement was fluid all the way there. It was almost like a Tai Chi thing. It was very, it wasn't like just a jutting out thing like that there. There was a certain nice motion to it, So there you are. There's Carlito. There's the nice picture of our Carl, and you know what? He looks a bit like Chris Algieri, doesn't he? Chris Algieri looks like him. They look like each other. It's one of those strange things in boxing, isn't it? You got a couple of lookalikes here. So look, we'll go right the way down to the bottom and have a look. So, the usual Hungarians, and, as he's climbing the ranks, a few Eastern European guys, you bring these dudes over, a few journeymen, get your rounds in there. Hopefully this guy's not going to come in to survive. We might get a bit of a fight. Less than that, he gets up there, fights Gavin Reid then in his 9th or 10th fight, Oscar Chassin, Robbie Turley, Mark Wong, Chris Hughes, Prosper Ankara. That's a lovely first name. He must be from South Africa or Africa or something like that. A lot of those guys have lovely names like Fortune or Malice or something. No, they're usually quite positive, But Prosper, that's quite nice, isn't it? Raul Herales. So he was picking up titles on his way here. He got the Celtic Super Bantamweight, was the first belt that he picked up. That wasn't a 10-rounder. That went the distance. That must have been the first time he'd went the distance in a 10-rounder anyway. That was against Robbie Turley. Next up, he picks up the vacant Commonwealth Super Bantamweight. And obviously, Frampton was in with the McGuigans. So they were moving him smart. We have a proven track record in that department, and yeah, we all know that, don't we? Mark Juan, yes, Chris Hughes, By the time he gets to Herales, he picks up the Intercontinental Super Bantamweight, right? IBF. So, because you sort of get these belts along the way, and it's something to print and it's something to talk about, isn't it? It's just not the sort of belt that you go on and defend, on 5 defences of my inter-European Commonwealth Super EBU belt, it's not really like that. But these are just little things you do as you go along, isn't it? Now, he fights Kiko Martinez then. No, sorry, before we get to that, the first real exposure to Frampton I had was when he fought this guy, Steve Molitor. He fought him at the SSA. Like I said, I've been into boxing for a little while. I liked Amir Khan. I was watching fights here and there. I was trying to develop an understanding. I knew I liked it. I didn't exactly know why. Well, I liked the movement. I liked being a musician. I liked the rhythms. I liked the polyrhythms. We see two guys with different styles who each have a pleasing rhythm in the way that they move. Sometimes they complement each other. Sometimes it's a mismatch, it's not so good. That was one of the things that I liked. And then, of course, the further you go along and the more of an appreciation, and you can break these things down, you start to go, okay, well, I can see why I like this guy. And, you start to learn what the punches are and different bits and pieces, yeah. So Molitor, I think, he knocked him out, 6th round. He looked really impressive in that fight, and Molitor was a respectable enough opponent. He was his first sort of name. Let's have a quick look at Molitor here and see what he had done. And he might have been maybe not an ex-world champion, but he was he had done something. Da, 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 da. Oh no, he had been super bantamweight champion of the world. Not by that time. He had been, let's see, super bantam, super bantam, super bantam. Yes, well he is super bantam. Let's see when he fought. When he fought Carl. So yeah, I mean, by the time he had fought Frampton, he had already been world champion. So this was his first sort of name, his first scalp that he picked up, and yeah. Then next up he fought Kiko Martinez, who he would later fight for the world title, and he looked really good in that. In that fight, how did that fight end? That was ninth round TKO. Trying to remember the knockout, but it's not coming to me. But Kiko Martinez gave him a good fight, and obviously Kiko went on to do quite well in his career, even after the second Frampton fight. So between this fight and the next one, Kiko Martinez went away and won a world title. And the McGuigans must have engineered it somehow and got him to come back, and it was like, okay, well, we're gonna have you in against Frampton again. It's gonna be a big fight. We're gonna have it down at the docks. Cha-ching. Kiko Martinez, Carl Frampton, motherfucker. Alright, so anyway, next up was Jeremy Perotti. So I believe he was a respectable enough name. 6th round KO. Frampton was he was knocking these guys out, or he was stopping them, and he sort of come out. By the end of one of the fights, he was just fucking full of energy, and he was like, "I'm the hardest hitting super bantamweight in the world." Yeah, he probably was. To be fair, he probably was. Okay, Cazares. Yeah, I remember that Cazares fight. Yeah, that was a good fight. Cazares down from a left hook to the head. That was in the second round. He done him. And yes, 2014, so we'll be coming up to the 10th year anniversary of this when Carl got his first world title. He fought Kiko Martinez. And yeah, that was at the Titanic Quarter, purpose-built little stadium, you know, or whatever you want to call it. It was really good, man. It was a class night, man. And that was in the 5th round. No, sorry, that was in a unanimous decision, right? So I think then the previous fight, in the first fight, he knocked him down. I think he caught Kiko Martinez coming in. He caught him with a straight right hand. And maybe caught him right up there in the top of the head like that. And he's like, go! He hit the deck. He was done. He might have got back up again, and then he was stopped, whatever it was. Then he fought this Chris. Let me see if I can. There's a bit of a sun thing going on here. Chris Avalos. Up next, Chris Avalos, American guy. He was a bit mouthy, you know. There was a bit of needle in the build up and stuff. Frampton did him in 5 rounds. Was there for that fight too. You know, the Odyssey was always great. The Frampton fights, the atmosphere was fantastic. And so we must speak now about the phenomenon of Frampton, because it's really hard to come across these type of guys, you know, a Ricky Hatton, a Frampton, you know, Tony Bellew, you know, people like this. You can't really engineer that. You can't go, oh, we're going to make this guy a star. You know, the stars have to align somewhat for somebody to have this and that can lead to them becoming this sort of talismanic figure. So like, let's see. Sorry, I'm just taking a few seconds to compose myself. You know. Yeah. You knocked me down, but I got up at the kind of night. So yeah, you know what we're gonna do here, guys? We're gonna figure this out. We're gonna figure this out. I have to take a few deep breaths there, do some heliotropic breathing in order to recalibrate and find out what's going on. And you know what else we're gonna do? We're gonna close these curtains. Woo, woo, baby. So we can get we can get some proper visuals on the go here. Because see this sunlight coming in and ruining my thing, like it's not good. Mr. Sunshine, I did not give you permission to ruin my day thus. Yeah, look, let's figure it out. Okay. Now the whole thing with Frampton was Barry McGuigan had come in for him, and it talked about like this guy can punch, he can fight on the front foot, he can fight equally as well on the back foot. Obviously, McGuigan was a great figure in Irish boxing and the story of Belfast, through the troubles and all of that. He was a great hero. You know, since there have been disputes and stuff like this, but back then, before any of that had happened, you know, Barry McGuigan was still very much held in high esteem and very much well loved in this country. Now, he may well still be. I don't really know what the full story is. I still like Barry McGuigan, you know. He didn't do anything to me, like, but you know, obviously those two guys had a bitter, you know, split and falling out. There was a huge court case. You know, it must have been awful for everybody involved. Nobody wants to go to court, so they don't. It's not pleasant at all. I've never been, but I've heard stories, man. I've heard the stories. So yeah. So look, Frampton, good-looking guy, could speak. You know, he had a good personality. The sort of thing they were playing off was, okay, well, this is the next Barry McGuigan, and Barry McGuigan's the mentor, yeah? And, you know, it was like, oh, well, Carl's a Protestant and he's married to a Catholic, and McGuigan was like, yeah, and I was a Catholic and I was married to a Protestant, so there was all of this stuff, and, you know, Barry McGuigan's a good talker, and he was, there were lots of clips, the Northern Irish media and everything were right behind it. So this was building and building, and you know, the Northern Irish, the Belfast fight fans are insane anyway. You know, we're partisan, and we are very much vociferous, you know, in our voicing of our allegiance. Yeah, so we like to get behind our guys. We make a lot of noise. You know, there's a legacy of trouble, violence, aggression in this country, and it comes out. You talk to a person from Belfast and you think you've just got into an argument. You haven't. That's just being nice. You want to see what it's like when you get into an argument with somebody from here, you fucking know about it. Look, everything had sort of just coalesced and come together. It was just working, and Frampton delivered. You know, he delivered in the clips, the interviews, and the talking. You know, a genuinely likable guy. Like a, you know, he had that charm, he had the personality, and like I say, the story was there, and he was delivered in the ring in a great way. Frampton was an exciting fighter. And he was pleasing to the eye. His style was pleasing to the eye. Like I said, he had that smoothness. He was, you know, a legitimately great boxer, like, and he could punch. So I mean, all of the ingredients were there. You know, all of these things that come together with our most celebrated fighters. That stuff that all happened for Carl Frampton. Like I say, you know, you couldn't make it up. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can't sit. Eddie Hearn doesn't sit down one day and, you know, put his pen to pad and say, "Oh, Conor Ben, we're going to make this happen." Well, you sort of have the story in place there. I mean, his dad was Nigel Benn. You know, whatever you want to say about his record and his fighting and stuff. Conor Ben is an engaging character. He can talk well and stuff like that. And if the machine starts to fucking turn and churn behind him, then maybe to a degree you can. It does take some engineering, you know. There is that involved too, but there must be some natural element right there in the middle, you know. So it's like, I don't know. I don't really know because that's not my job, but it's uh, it's interesting to think about, isn't it? It's interesting to discuss. Um, maybe that happens a lot where people try to make that happen. They try to really build somebody into a star. We're going to build this fighter, but there must be. There's got to be hooks. It's like in a song, you know, you get a really nice song. Oh, those are nice lyrics, man. Yeah, you sang that one well, but where's the hooks? Where are the hooks? You go, well, I don't know how to write hooks. No, you don't, because you can't just sit down and write a hook. A hook's got to come to you like inspiration, man. You know what I mean? So if you don't got the hooks, then the rest of the thing doesn't work, you know. So that's what it is. Nobody's asking, but that's what it is. So anyway, uh, he beats Avalos, you know, good fight. Next thing, he's going across the water for the first time. As far as I know, he goes across to El Paso, right, to fight Alejandro Gonzalez, who had a decent record at that time, a winning record, 25-1-2. And Frampton won by unanimous decision. Frampton was down twice in the first round. I think it was like, you know, he says, I think he was looking at the guy in the hotel room and he thought, this kid ain't up to much, this is skinny kid. He said, I'll wipe this guy out in a few rounds here, no problem. Yeah. So we got a little bit complacent and he went in the first round, bang, bang, he was down twice. And flash knockdowns, mind you, he got straight back up, but he was more flustered and embarrassed than anything, rather than truly hurt. But that was what happened. Like I say, Frampton sealed the win. Took him 1 or 2 rounds to sort of regain his composure. And once he got that, he was into his groove and he was like, all right, okay, we know what it is now. So yeah, after that then was the Quig fight. The Quig fight was brilliant, you know, all British clash. Now, if we look at in comparison how Catterall and Taylor is being built at the minute, all British class, and it's got all the ingredients there. But compare then also Taylor's career to Frampton's. Taylor had all the wins, and you know the build-up was there to some degree. You could argue his accomplishments are more than what Frampton has done, you know, despite his recent fall from grace. But hang on, guys, this the cogs are turning slowly today. I need some grease. So basically, what I'm trying to get at is Josh Taylor. He had the talent, he had the big names, he had the fight, but yet his career and him as a fighter was not as celebrated as what Frampton was. So, well, what's the difference? Where's the, yeah, and it's like, I don't know, I mean, we don't need to go into it all, like, there was some ferment in the Belfast boxing scene and in Irish boxing at that time where we were waiting for a Carl Frampton to come along, and everybody was just waiting for somebody to really get behind. It was a new time for Belfast, a new time for Northern Ireland. You know, the Good Friday Agreement had been signed and sealed, and Belfast was starting to open up and become a place worth visiting. All of a sudden, it was like, wow, we have some nice places. It's not a threat. we can go on a wee weekend away to Belfast, and it's actually quite nice. Yeah, we didn't get exploded. So that was kind of part of the story. and it was almost like a celebration of the city's new lease of life. Yeah, after so many years in the darkness, we had things to celebrate, but the reality of everyday life in Belfast, you know, I was too young to remember, but I can imagine that it was something very different. Like where I'm from in Cookstown, at the end of my street there was an army checkpoint, and at the other end of my street was barricades, and there was soldiers. It was an everyday thing to see soldiers, British soldiers walking up and down. The where we were, I lived beside a graveyard, and there was a big tree fort and stuff. And get people going up to drink there and stuff like that. Teenagers, and then you would see like alcoholics waking up, climbing out of a hedge, on a Saturday morning when you're out playing. And the soldiers, you would stop to the soldiers and they would let you look through the scope on the gun or give you a bit of chewing gum, English accent and all. And when the bands came on, we were Catholic mostly in Arwee Street, but we would go up to the top of the street, which was the main street in Cookstown, the longest or the widest main street in Ireland, and we'd be marching with these things, you know what I mean? So that with the innocence of a child, at least where we were from, where obviously it's not quite as intense in somewhere like Cookstown as what it is in Belfast. The innocence could not be tainted, of us kids. But I mean, looking back on it was a bit mad. It's definitely a bit mad. Of course, graffiti everywhere, UVF, IRA. Well, what does this mean? What? Who's IRA? And INLA. Things were just a wee bit more rougher. I mean, like I say, we were kids. We were just playing, having fun, playing football, climbing trees, building huts, stealing out of shops, all this sort of thing. But if I had been a bit older while that stuff was going on, if I had been a bit older while that stuff was going on, probably I would have ended up getting involved in some dicey stuff. Probably like uncles of mine did and stuff like that. It's kind of it's a strange thing. And I mean, all these news reports going out everywhere, around the world and in Europe and stuff. Belfast, this Belfast, that people getting shot, people getting bombed. It wasn't all that long ago, And I suppose then, whenever Frampton was coming to the fore, it was like, okay, we are emerging from this. Yeah, so, like I say, when the planets align, or the stars align, whatever it is, so we were trapped along nicely by this stage, and suddenly the quick fight was being built. And they did the face off and all, Johnny Nelson, and quite a lot of needle. I mean, the English were sort of pushing Quig as the guy. This guy can beat Frampton. He had an undefeated record, I think, at the time. He had a lot of power. Scott Quig, probably not the boxer Frampton was, but he was a bit more tougher, maybe as tough as Carl Frampton was, coming from Tigers Bay, the streets of Belfast. Quig's just seemed a bit more Neanderthalic or something. I don't mean that in any offensive way, really, but he just seemed a bit more of a little beast, Whereas Frampton's tough, but he was a nice fella as well. In a way, he was an intelligent guy. So the build-up was interesting in that regard, and I think basically the sort of the crux of it was that the crux of it was that, when I started smiling there was I got a wee YouTube I got a wee YouTube notification saying Shia LaBeouf thinks Ryan Garcia is garbage. Yeah. He really did. He slagged him, he slagged Ryan Garcia, but what are you doing? You're acting in a film. You get into the ring to spar with Carl Frampton once or twice. You won a couple of rounds of sparring against Carl Frampton. That's nothing to write home about, mate. The next thing you're slagging Ryan Garcia. He's probably got more followers than you have. So them guys are alright. Carl Frampton is thinks he's the man all of a sudden because he's running about with all these Hollywood A-listers, you know, and so he's got himself a little role in the film, but probably not even a speaking part. But he's in there. Good luck to Carl Frampton. So yeah, the quick fight happens. A split decision went over 12 rounds. Yeah, I mean, probably should have been a unanimous decision really, but he got the win, which is the main thing. Broke Scott Quigg's jaw. That was the fourth round, and it was a good display, I think, from Frampton. Again, it was the boxing, Frampton's boxing ability versus Scott Quigg's hard work and stuff like that, and Frampton just outboxed him pretty handily. Didn't take too many risks, but obviously he broke his jaw, so he must have been doing something right. So next up then was the Leo Santa Cruz fight. That Scott Quigg fight, by the way, was a unification fight. Frampton was sort of slagging Quigg that he was a paper champion, that he got this vacant belt, email champion we would say now. So, but he still took the belt, but he won it. He actually fought and won it, so you could argue that too. But I think Scott Quigg's alright, I think he does a bit of coaching and stuff nowadays, as far as I'm aware. He seems like a good guy, Scott Quigg, so good luck to him. Hopefully when them two guys see each other, they can, shake each other's hand and have a wee joke and a laugh. You would hope that. Leo Santa Cruz was up next, and he came up in weight then. It was featherweight, so up from super bantam up to featherweight. What's featherweight then? Is 122, isn't it? Yeah, and then super feather's 126, and then lightweight's 130, super lightweight 135. I'm getting confused here, man. Boxing weights, let's check it out. Junior featherweight, so 122, goes up to 122. Featherweight's 126. Junior lightweight, yes, 130. Lightweight's 135, and so on. Let's have a little read of what they have to say here about super bantamweight. Top historical. Let me make sure I got this right. Leo Santa Cruz. Oh, that was featherweight, so Frampton was fighting at super bantamweight. Look, we were talking about bantamweight earlier. This is super bantamweight, so Frampton was fighting at super bantamweight. Alright. During the golden age of the 122 pound weight class, which spanned the late 1990s and early 2000s, Mexican rivals Marco Antonio Barrera and Eric Morales established themselves as two of the sport's top contenders of all time. Nevertheless, Wilfredo Gomez, a heavy-handed, ultra-competitive, technically gifted boxer who ruled the roost 20 years earlier, was most likely the best junior featherweight ever. He's out of Puerto Rico, isn't he? He was a legend in his own time. The best boxers working today, the junior featherweight class has been dominated for the past 3 years by the unbeaten Cuban sensation Guillermo Rigondeaux, the lineal champion. God knows when this was written. Everyone else has been on the outside looking in. The coming southpaw is lightning quick, a powerhouse, and a master of his profession. How about that? However, other well-known fighters have yet to stop themselves from trying to steal his dominance due to his ability to win effortlessly against any opposition. Jesse Magdaleno and Ray Vargas are relatively new names, but they can potentially turn the tide shortly. This is a really good website, yeah. Bayside Boxing. Featherweight. Alright, here we go. 126. Top historical combatants. Willie Pep is regarded as the finest featherweight of all time and the greatest defensive boxer in history. He competed, I think Floyd Mayweather might have something to say about that. He competed in the sport from 1927 until his retirement in 1965. Even against historically significant war machines like Sandy Sadler. So we're getting some classic names here from this site, yeah. whom Pep defeated in 1949. While Pep was clearly past his prime, his fancy footwork and unbelievable dodging skills made him a nightmare for offensive-minded opponents. His fancy footwork and unbelievable dodging skills made him, yeah, he's just typed that twice there. Top fighters of today, Leo Santa Cruz and Carl Frampton, who have faced each other in a two-fight series, lead a stacked featherweight landscape full of vicious characters. These two fighters have split against each other. Gary Russell, where's the rubber match? Still looking at that rubber match, Leo. Gary Russell Jr.'s incredible quickness, a great physical specimen, and the well-travelled Abner Mares, yes, we like Abner Mares, helped this division with many exciting, pardon me, stylistic classes that fans can look forward to enjoying for the next few years, right? Very good. So look, he goes in, this is sort of for his third world title, right? And it's looking to become a two-weight world champion. He goes over to New York and he fights Leo Santa Cruz. Takes quite a number of fans with him. And fights for the WBA Super Duper World Featherweight Champion of the World. So, Championship of the World. I'm trying to think. Frampton had him shook in the second round, was it? Second round or third round, something like that. I think he sort of charged forward and cut him a straight right hand. And Leo was shook. Leo Santa Cruz, obviously a great boxer, great combination puncher, is fast, great work rate. But Frampton just was on it that night. And the judges preferred his work. It was a majority decision. Yeah, which means that one of the cards was scored a draw. Okay, yeah, majority decision, fair enough. So that was alright, that was great. He went back for the second fight then. And he lost to unanimous decision. A lot of the talk from the Frampton camp on the way in the build up to that fight was that Leo Santa Cruz can't fight going backwards, and that was what had worked for him in the first fight. Leo Santa Cruz's natural style was to come forward and bombard his opponents with many punches, great shot selection and stuff, you know. And he's a Mexican, you know, the Mexican toughness and a very typical Mexican fighter in that regard, and that he had that nature or what have you. So we went back for the second fight, and the talk was, you know, oh, Leo Santa Cruz can't fight going backwards, so yeah, we're going to beat him, as easy as that. But Leo Santa Cruz proved then in the second fight that he could fight going backwards, and he had a very good game plan. Now, I think his dad was recovering from cancer at the time, and they said that in the first fight that maybe was something to do with why he didn't perform to his best in the first fight. Maybe it did, but yeah, it was one apiece. Leo Santa Cruz got his title back, and I think Frampton was keen to get the rubber match, but it didn't happen. So I mean, it is what it is. Let's see now. He fought then Horacio Garcia. That was in the SSA. I might be in there for that. Unanimous decision over 10 rounds. Frampton was knocked down in the 7th round, I think. Yeah, it might have been a slip or something like that. That was a very tough fight. I remember that guy really came to win. And like I said in a previous video, us Northern Irish and Irish guys are very pasty. We're really pale. And Frampton particularly super pale. He's like a ghost, probably because he's always in the gym all the time. And he marks up really badly, like, and this guy landed quite a few punches, and Frampton was just covered in bruises in the post-fight press conference, but he won the fight. The next one then, and this was 2018, was against Nonito Donaire, you know, the great Nonito Donaire. And I think after he had lost to Regan Joe, people didn't have the same respect on his name then, you know. Like I say, us boxing fans are a little bit fickle, and we were quick to forget what Donaire had accomplished previously. but he came in to fight Frampton, you know, because he's getting on in years even then, I think, too. I remember in the build up, both of them can sing. Like, Carl Frampton was a really good singer, apparently, and fucking Stones don't need it done air, and they were like having these little trade offs in the build up. I think each of them had done a song, they'd each done like a little video. In fact, if I mind right, no need it done air, he had like his trainers and stuff behind him. It was like a Uptown Girl. It was real slick, man. It was a slick production, like. So that was quite good, and you could see in the build up to that fight there was a lot of respect between those two guys. And do you know what? It was a good fight. Frampton got the unanimous decision. Donaire, it was great to get to see Donaire live. I really appreciate that all the more now. It's like, wow, it was a great fighter that I got to see that night. Yeah, I mean, what's not Donaire? I haven't really studied him. You know, I think he's a real vicious left hook, but obviously he's a great power puncher, very skilled. Filipino guy, isn't he, Donaire? So maybe from Filipino, born there from the Philippines, and then grew up in America, I think. Next up was Luke Jackson. That was at Windsor Park, man. That was at the Northern Ireland Football Stadium, which was a big dream of Frampton's. So something that he wanted to make come true. Tyson Fury fought in that bill. He tried to hog the promotion. He was like, "This is all about me." Frampton was like, "Chill out, Tyson. Sit down." So Jackson then done what he done. The guy out of Australia. I follow him on Facebook, I think it is, and he's a really cool guy. I think he's had some problems with addictions and stuff like that, and he's all about the motivation now. He does these great videos, his training and stuff is really good to watch him. Good fighter, and yeah, he's out there doing his thing. So respect to Luke Jackson, and yeah, TKO ninth round. Paddy Barnes fought in that card as well. I think that might have been the fight he retired after. Obviously, Paddy Barnes was like a celebrated amateur, you know, three-time Olympian, 2 times bronze medalist, which is pretty respectable, isn't it? For one reason or another, he didn't really adapt to the pro game, but he's still a legend in the amateurs, like, so fair play to him, like. Hey, come on then, next it was Josh Warrington. Yes, oh man, that was hard to watch, like, Josh Warrington, not known for being a big puncher, came in and really put it on Frampton. I think it was the first or second round, he had Frampton down. Sort of swarmer, isn't he, Josh Warrington? He just comes in with loads of fucking punches up here and there, over and around. It's like, yeah, I mean, Frampton come back into the fight. He got settled. He adapted to what Warrington was bringing to the table, and he got himself together. But I mean, the decision went Warrington's way, rightly so, probably. You know, we're getting into the sort of twilight of Frampton's career. Josh Warrington was on the up, so it's one of those two. Next up, Tyler McCreary, then Darren Trainer. I think by this time, then probably just prior to the Warrington fight, Frampton had went with Jimmy Moore. There had been the fallout with McGuigan and stuff, disputes over money. There have been allegations that the McGuigans, you know, have been robbing their fighters. I don't know what the truth is there. Obviously, Shane McGuigan's a very good trainer, and he's well respected. I respect him for what it's worth as a trainer, you know. I respect Barry McGuigan too. God knows what happens. Some things happen, and you know, people make mistakes and stuff too. It's what you do afterwards that really matters, isn't it? Anyway, look, Frampton's getting towards the end of his career, and I think he sort of says to himself, like, there's the opportunity here for me to move up to super featherweight and try and become a 3-weight world champion, which would sort of make him eligible for the Hall of Fame. he still might well be eligible. I don't know about first ballot, but you never know there how that would be. I mean, whether he does or not, Frampton's legacy's sort of sealed. You know what I mean? Yeah, he'll always be well remembered and well respected. You know, he's gone on to be a pundit now, and he's doing quite well out of that. It's something that he's good at. So I mean, we'll see what happens from there. But he moved up. He fought Jamal Herring. Jamal Herring's a military guy, wasn't he? He boxed in the army and stuff like that. And I think you could kind of see that Frampton was done by this time. I'm not sure what age he would have been now. Well, that was 21. He's about the same age as me, so 21. What's that? 3 years ago. 33 or 34, which is quite old for somebody to start out a super bantamweight, isn't it? And yeah, I mean, he didn't get the win. TKO 6 rounds. So yeah, it is what it is. He dared to be great, even greater, you know. And that one didn't go his way, but it was worth a roll of the dice. But yeah, I mean, certainly in his pomp, Frampton was great fighter. Oh, there's a wee video, a notification, man. These notifications just, you know, you're sitting there minding your own business, just trying to enjoy life, and it just comes through. Alright, one last little bit, guys, about Frampton. You know what it is? Carl Frampton. There was a fella I used to play with in a band, and his this guy, he played in a band with a fella that was had done a song for Carl Frampton. I think it was called the Jackal. It was the singer and the guitar player, and it was like, oh, the jackal, oh, the jackal, oh, he's fighting very hard to win another title. It's the jackal, oh, the jackal. He wears his gloves, he moves around. He lost to Jamal Herring, he's still the jackal. Yeah, and that was quite good to see. You know, there's a couple of guys come out and did a wee song for him. And actually, back in the day, I wrote a poem. I sent him this poem on Twitter. It was some little poem that I wrote about him, and he was digging it. Apparently, like, you know, well, God knows what he was thinking. He might have looked at it and thought, "What the fuck?" But even McGuigan chipped in as well with a few words, you know. So that was kind of good. But yeah. That was all good. The other thing I wanted to say was, right, I seen I was talking about Johnny Nelson, and Johnny Nelson and on saxophone, right. This is the band, right. Carl Frampton on vocals, right. Carl Frampton on guitar, and Gareth A. Davis on keys. Every time you see Gareth A. Davis being interviewed in his home, you see that grand piano sitting, you know. And I imagine, look at it, you know, the rest of the guys are maybe not. Carl Frampton can sing, we know that much. The other two, Nelson and Frost, we don't know how capable they are of, you know, they're sort of unknown quantities. I'm gonna go out on a limb with this one and say that Gareth A. Davis can really play that piano. I think he's probably the sort of guy that's into like prog rock and stuff like that. You know, but it would be there's a line up there. You know, we need to see this. It could be done on Zoom. You know, it could be there's fucking A Davis up there. You know, I think the way it would happen, right, is like it would start off and it would just pan in, right, and it would be Frotch playing the guitar. I'd just be strumming a few chords, be like, today is gonna be the day that I'm gonna say to you. And the saxophone will come in, you know, and then we've got Nelson over here. You know what I'm getting at here? Like, it would be like a music video nearly done remotely. I think it would be good to see, man. I think it would be really, really good. But who knows if that'll ever happen, you know? Pie in the sky, goods. Pie in the sky. Anyway, folks, Belfast, boxing, blues, jazz, hip hop, yes, everything that's good. Yeah, see you all later.